Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dustin. I'll be giving you your first tutorial on TimeForce. Hopefully, I'll keep this tutorial less than 10 minutes long. So the first thing I'm going to do is take you to the site. If you go to your web browser, I use Firefox, click up in the web address bar, go to timeforce.vanguardresources.com. You can go there. It'll redirect you to the right site. And then here you'll have to enter your username and password. This is going to be individually assigned for each of you. I'm going to use a test account that I created. And I'm going to log in. You use your username, your password, company code for everybody will be VRI. I'm going to log in. You see by default it's going to take me to the user that I'm logged in as. I created this test user using Ricky's account. So once you're logged in, the very first screen it takes you to is the punches. So Ricky's a salaried employee, so he won't show any punches. If I did want to see a punch, you can go to this drop down and select the employee that you want to see. So I'm going to select an employee, and now you see the current pay period's punches. So I can see on Monday this employee clocked in at 6:30 a.m. He clocked out at 3:45 p.m. If you want to see the exact unrounded time, you can mouse over the punch, and you see the unrounded time he actually clocked out for, or clocked in at 6:26, and then he clocked out at 3:20 or 3:33. Excuse me. If you look below that, you see the total hours. So he got 9 hours and 15 minutes, 9.25 hours on Monday, 8 hours on Tuesday, 8.5 hours on Wednesday. If you want to go to the previous pay period, you can click these arrows right here. And so we go to the previous pay period, and you can see again total hours each day. You can also see down here there's some special pays at this facility for callback pay, which is what these are. And then if you go down to the overtime, there's overtime pays and overtime callback pays as well. So you see a good breakdown of the total hours. If you look to the far right, you see total hours for the pay period. He earned 93 hours this pay period for a total of this amount. I wouldn't put too much stake in this amount. This dollar amount depends on the wage rate that's put in the TimeForce, as well as it does not account for tax and benefits taken out. So be very cautious pointing at this number for an employee. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how to tell if it's manually inputted. So the way you tell if a punch is manually inputted, it has this dot, like you see right here. That dot means it was manually inputted. So these punches were manually added, not an employee punch at the clock. This other symbol next to it means that it was modified. So this pay period was put in and then changed. You do not have permission to see who changed it or what was changed, but if you have any questions, get with your systems coordinator. They can get with corporate and we can look into it. So the next thing I want to show you is if an employee takes PTO. So you can put an employee for PTO. For instance, I will say that this employee took PTO on the 24th. So you can go to the 24th by, first I'll add a manual punch. So I clicked on the 24th in. If I needed to add a punch, I could say that he clocked in at 9 o'clock a.m. on the 24th. Click on Create Punch, and you'll see it added a punch at 9 a.m. on the 24th. This MP stands for missed punch because he punched in but did not punch out on the 24th. So I could add another punch, his clock out punch, and that MP would go away. However, like I said, I did add a 9 a.m. punch for him. So I am going to go ahead and delete that punch. I can do that by clicking on it. And at the top right, you see there's a deactivate button. You can click on deactivate, and the punch is now gone. So the next thing I'm going to do is enter an absence if this employee took PTO on the 24th. You see the dates are the 24th through the 24th. The day of the week was Sunday. How many hours? 8 hours. And then that's all you have to do. you can come over here and select, oh no, I apologize. If it's, you come over to absence policy and you select the type that it is. This is a PTO. So I'll select PTO, the department's automatically there, and I'll hit create. And so you can see now there's no punch in, punch out. However, there is 8 hours of time on Sunday, and it's under the pay code PTO. So to delete it, you click on it. So I deleted, or I clicked on the 8 hours next to PTO. And now I will come up here and delete the PTO. Because this employee didn't take it, I really don't want him to be charged for it. So I've done that, and Timeforce is thinking, and now it's gone. So you see there's 0 hours on Sunday. So now we've gone over the employees, the time card, the punch, how to enter the absence, the PTO absence, and you can see total times, the dates, the unrounded time, whether it was manually added and whether it was changed. The next thing I'm going to show you is the My Screen tab. If you click on My Screen, by default it's going to show you a set screen. At this screen you can see who's punched in right now at your facility. You can see the status. So what you're really looking for is in. So this employee is punched in. He last punched in at 1:30 p.m. this afternoon. So we know he's currently at work. The other employees, you can see if they're out, if they're absent, or if they're punched in still. So you can see that. Over here you can see the hour summary, so you know how many hours they're currently running this pay period. This will help you to identify people that are approaching overtime or people that are short hours and maybe you need to call them in. You can also see this error monitoring, and this will show you anybody that has missed punches. So these employees at this facility have missed punches. Their last punch dates were this date at this time. So this employee last punched in on February 25th at 12:20 p.m. So your systems coordinator really needs to go in and update this, or you as a supervisor can update that. So the next tab I'm going to take you to is the Reports tab. We're only going to cover a few. There's not very many in the Reports tab. In fact, most of them you already covered in the My Screen tab. The exceptions on here, if you go to the exceptions report, from here on all the reports you have to select the report you want to run again. We select exceptions, we hit generate report, and it's going to show us exactly the same thing we saw on My Screen with a little bit more detail. So it gives you the department, the employee's card number, which is the number they enter into the time clock, the date, the time, and the errors that they missed a punch. So the next report I want to show you real quick is the time card report. And that report is right here under time. Again, you have to select a report. Now look at the time card report. And we click generate report. So from this screen, we see a breakdown by employee, the date, the time that they punched in, the time that they punched out, and the number of hours, along with the pay code. So on February 25th, on Monday, this employee punched in at 6:30, then punched out at 7 for a total of 0.5 hours of regular pay. Then he punched back in at 8:45 a.m. and punched out at 1800, which is 6 p.m. for a total of 9.25 hours. All of these hours were regular pay because he hadn't reached his 40 hours in a week for overtime, totaling 9.75 hours on Monday. So that's the way you read this report. The next thing I'm going to show you is the Employee tab. So you can click on Employee. If you click View Edit, from here, if you're searching for a specific employee, you can put in their last name, their number, or if you want to see all of the employees you have permission for, leave it blank and hit search. So once this opens, if I wanted to see this employee, you can click on them. And you see very basic information here. The employee ID number, that's the number that they punch into the clock to log in. If you expand demographics, if they had an address, city, state, phone number, all that, you can fill it. You can see it here. You can also see their clock security. This is where we set up supervisors, so you can change settings in the clock. And at the very top, it's active or inactive, and that will essentially delete an employee that's no longer with the company. And that's it for this tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to talk to your systems coordinator, and they can get with corporate and we'll answer whatever questions you have. Thanks.